if you're feeling down, go out of your way and try to be very appreciative, like compassionate to other people, because you
Yes.
doing that will in return give you light. Like you putting out light will in return give you light. So I think that is also very important. And it's also very important to stay connected to your circle, like friends, and the external circle, like nature, animals, volunteering, that type of thing, to where, you have staying active. I think is one of the biggest thing. No matter how you stay active, as long as you keep moving, that will help you so much in the long run, so you can continue to bring that light into your life, to where if you're sitting in the dark, that will bring darkness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything's Okay, a mental health podcast brought to you by the one and only Crazy Ant Media, where every single bi-weekly we dive into a different topic that may or may not lead into deeper conversations. This one is fantastic because mental health is such a crazy thing that not a lot of people keep up with in their day-to-day lives. We have certain people who try to maintain mental health wellness, and
Yes.
sometimes it can accidentally fall to the back burner, and sometimes it's in the forefront. So we're going to talk about different ways that we can implement different things in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, in our week-to-week lives, to where we can stay on that positive journey, to where we don't push it to the back burner, to where we're still staying mentally well. And we're very excited
Yes.
about this because we're going to be diving into a couple of deep conversations about different things, but we're going to be talking about like definitions and expert insights and things like that. So I'm very excited about this.
Oh, me too. Me too. And because, mental wellness is so important. And I think a lot of people struggle with what does mental wellness even mean? What is it?
Right.
How does one know if they are mentally well or mentally
Literally.
challenged? So we're going to kind of help break that down for you and kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for. Are you in trouble? Are you struggling? Or are you okay? Are you doing well? Are you in a good place? We're going to talk about that. We're going to give you some stuff that we do to kind of keep our mental wellness intact, and then we're going to remind you that even if you are struggling and you're not completely on the track of mental wellness, that's okay too, because that's part of it. That's the gig. So I'm excited to just dive into this. And yes, it may or may not be recording this on game day, and I may or may not be flying to the game to help coach. We're in
Right.
trouble this year. Speaking of my mental wellness, I need to stay happy.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
just wanted to
Well,
clear up the confusion. And as you can see, I'm old school because this is not Jumpman. This is Adidas. I ride or die. I've been lifelong. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. But it's a rough year. This is a good
that's
topic to
so
talk about
funny.
mental wellness because mine is not okay right now. No, I'm just kidding. Mine
Yeah.
is fine.
I think this is very interesting too, because different people have different perspectives on, what mental wellness is. So we're
Yeah.
gonna give you both of our examples of our definitions of what we think mental wellness is,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna explore how mental wellness is just like, I mean, the absence of a mental illness. I mean, is it the presence of positive characteristics like resilience, emotional balance, and the ability to manage stress?
Yes.
Because for me, mental wellness is being just not mentally exhausted, not zoning out, being able to be happy without mind altering things like substances or anything like that, but to just continue to be happy in my own shell and to continue moving forward. That's what I think, for me, my mental wellness means.
Well, so my mental wellness plays right off of that. You almost transitioned into it perfectly, which is living my authentic life, being
Mm.
myself. That makes me happy. So when I'm being authentic and happy with myself, I don't when things come up, because things come up, guys. Bad things happen, unexpected things happen. We're not in control. We know that things do. It's your ability to be able to deal with those things. So mental wellness for me is when I'm living that authentic life and I'm just being true to who I am. I can deal when things come up. I don't get angry. I don't get stressed out. I'm just like, hey, this happened. I'm going to kind of face it and then I'm going to move on and I'm going to keep my positive vibes. So for me, the key to my mental wellness is not being a people pleaser, not trying to control things, and not trying to be somebody that I'm not. Know that I'm a flawed individual. I'm a flawed human being, and things will happen. I'll make mistakes, and other days I'll excel and be awesome, and everything is fine. But as long as I'm living authentically and I know that, I'm good. And that's where the key to my mental wellness is.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of different practices, you know. I mean, if you're looking for something quick, you gotta exit situations sometimes to where,
Yes.
you don't even feel like you have an exit strategy, but sometimes you just gotta walk away. Like that is the biggest thing, walking away. And I wish, in this recording I had it, but I just recently implemented something that I heard from a different podcast, and it's called, well, she refers to it as her Bible. So I created my own Bible. This is not a religious thing. This is a Bible or a resource guide to positive quotes, positive thoughts, different things that I'm thinking, different ways to transition out of different ways that I'm feeling. Like, for example, if I'm feeling anxious, I use distraction as a way to get out of that anxiety. If I'm feeling depressed, I use conversation, which is also distraction, as a way to get out of the depression so that I can get off of, like, quit focusing so heavily on that to where I can focus on something else. I mean, it definitely helps. And I mean, this is where, we talk about toxic work environments and we talk about,
Yeah.
different things like that. But sometimes it is very beneficial just to go to work and get out of your head, to get out of
Hugely.
that place where you're just sitting at home alone in the dark, where you can start interacting with other people, talking about different things to where you are distracted from what that situation is. Not saying to put it on the back burner and leave it there and just avoid it, but it helps you come out of those transitional states, or it helps you to transition into a different state to where you can become happier or just feel better about life. Like, for example, one I actually used this recently, this past week actually. Steve from Blues Clues. He has a TikTok channel where he just, like, you can talk to him, like he just makes a video where he's listening. He's acting like he's listening to you as
Yeah.
you're conversating. He's just like, every once in a while, yeah, I get that. Yeah, it is so beneficial because so many people feel like they don't have a person they can even talk to about this. So even if it's like you pretend like he's on FaceTime with you and you're getting it all out. Just getting it out is one of the biggest things when it comes to your mental wellness, to just feel like you can get over that hump.
Well, so a couple of things there. One, just quickly to address what you just said about Steve and that being a tool to use. It's because sometimes the one single thing that is the difference between somebody going down a very dark hole mentally and getting themselves into trouble, right? Suicide or doing something dangerous to hurt others or whatever the case may be, is being seen.
Hmm.
Knowing that someone sees you, that someone is just taking time to listen to you today and say, hey, it's okay. You're going to be all right. That's critical in mental wellness. Just to know that you're seen, that you're not going through this thing alone, that we're all riding this big old journey together. That's critical. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. And then similar to you, so it's funny, you call yours the Bible. I call mine the altar. So, both religious terms, but neither necessarily in religious tone of what we're talking about. But my altar is a place where I have items. I have either little notes to myself, or a little quote that I found, or a picture that I saw, or just something that I have these little items. One day even I brought in and put like a little flower that I just like I had never seen anything look like that before. It was just really cool and it made me feel really awesome. And I brought that in and I kept that there for a few days and kind of thing. So I have this little place that I call my altar that I just, yeah, it's where I do my manifesting. It's where I kind of like talk to myself. It's kind of like what do I want to bring into existence? What do I want to make happen today? And I use this space to do that. And I put little things in that space to bring the positive vibes, to bring the positive energy and make me feel good in this comfortable space. And so that's great. That's just a couple of tips, whether it's a Bible or a book or a a little folder or something where you keep all that stuff and that's how you organize and put it together. Or if it's an altar, just a little thing, a cabinet or a space on your desk or something, a side table on your bed. Wherever you feel comfortable putting your stuff that motivates you, that you can go to feel like you can escape. That's a wonderful thing. And you can call it whatever you want to. You can call it my go-to space. You can call it my happy place. You can call it your Bible. You can call it your altar. Whatever name it is, as long as it's serving the purpose of making you feel comfortable of being yourself and surrounding yourself with things that make you feel positive and happy. And I mean, that's great advice. I think everybody should do that, honestly, is to find a space like that or some sort of a exercise like that. Mine's filled with those too, exercises. I have little prompts. I'll find prompts throughout the day like, hey, what is this? Why are you doing that? Maybe write a letter to this or write a letter to yourself, write a letter to, So mine's filled with prompts too. That can be very helpful.
It really can. Because I mean, I was just looking through, Google. We love Google. Pathways to mental wellness. And, I mean, if you're feeling some sort of way, these are different things that could help you. Playing, hobbies, making or creating, learning, discovery, a natural improvement, fitness, exercise, like we've talked about before on our healthy mind, healthy body. And I mean, there's other different ways to put these into rotation, like meditation, mindfulness. Some people even seek help through religion or spirituality or beliefs, gratitude, compassion. Those help out a lot too. When you give those to people, like just go, if you're feeling down, go out of your way and try to be very appreciative, like compassionate to other people, because
Yes.
you doing that will in return give you light. Like you putting out light will in return give you light. So I think that is also very important. And it's also very important to stay connected to your circle, like friends, and the external circle, like nature, animals, volunteering, that type of thing, to where, you have staying active. I think is one of the biggest thing. No matter how you stay active, as long as you keep moving, that will help you so much in the long run. So you can continue to bring that light into your life, to where if you're sitting in the dark, that will bring darkness. I think that's why mental health is such a big thing with, people of younger generations, is because technology is amazing. Technology is freaking awesome. Okay, for what we do, filmmaking, podcasting, just exploring different things in the technology space, social media. It is very exhausting, but it's also very exerting to the mind. It brings on headaches, it brings on depression when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
It brings you to a point to where you realize that you've been sitting in a room for 5 hours without talking to anyone else.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your mind moving while also keep your body moving, so that you can continue keeping with the positive energy, keeping with the positive thoughts, and continuing moving forward.
Well, yeah. Well, because mentally healthy people tend to be physically healthy people. It's a
True.
direct correlation, like we talked about on our episode with Healthy Body, Healthy Mind. A lot of people discount that, but it's absolutely true. And another thing that I find that's you said light. You brought up light a lot in that little segment, and because that's what it's all about. Your light might illuminate someone else's darkness. right? Somebody might be going through a very dark time or a dark day, and your light, just by you shining, might help them come out of the darkness that they're facing right then and there, right? And that's what it's all about. It's all about loving one another and helping people get through all of the stuff that we're going through. I'm going to tell you, one of the key things that I think that's necessary for mental wellness is learning to set boundaries for yourself.
Mhm.
Understanding that boundaries are important. This is okay. This is not okay. I'm going to allow this. I'm not going to allow that. When you enable yourself with boundaries, you are letting other people know that this is where I'm at. This is my positivity. This is my negativity. This is my toxicity. This is what I won't condone. And this is what I want to see. And if people can't respect your boundaries, those are people that probably should not be in your circle. And that doesn't mean that they won't ever come back to your circle, right? It's just at this particular time, if you are able to authentically set boundaries for yourself and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm willing to accept, this is what I expect from you, and this is what I will give you. And if you can hold those boundaries, you are going to be a much happier person mentally. You'd be amazed, because when you allow those boundaries to be compromised, or you don't set those boundaries at all, you fall into the trap of masks and people pleasing and bending over backwards and becoming a doormat, and allowing yourself to have your happiness sucked right out to try to be approved or validated or liked by someone else. And that's very dangerous for your mental well-being. So for mental wellness, for me, and I think for so many people out there, you have to understand that it includes boundaries. Don't be scared to set boundaries and tell people what you expect from them and what you are willing to give. And in return, ask them, what do you expect from me? Open communication. I guess that's where I also want to build that into the boundary thing. It's all about openly communicating authentically. Don't communicate with a lie. Don't tell somebody that you're happy with something that they're doing if it's making you miserable, just to keep the peace. That that will do nothing but in the end blow up and make you unhappy, then unhappy. Everybody's suffering from that. Be authentic and communicate and lay down the law. Say, that is making me unhappy, and if you continue to do that, I will not allow you to be a part of me. I will not allow you to be in this, that, that. There is nothing wrong with setting boundaries and communicating what you want and what you will do in life. And I think the most successful relationships, the most successful friendships, the most successful careers, all of that is when people understand that they have to set boundaries, and they will, and stick to them. So yeah, communication and boundaries, guys. I think it plays hand in hand and is a really big aspect of mental well-being and mental wellness. I mean, I'm happier since I set them. I got to tell you, I used to be that person that I had walls up, but walls are different than boundaries. And you have to learn the difference between that too. My walls that I thought were protecting me were actually harming me, but my boundaries are protecting me. And so there's a difference there.
There is, and I mean it comes with a lot of stress. You know
It
that
does.
that's really the root of mental wellness, and if you're not mentally healthy, I guess you could say it all is caused by stress in your day to day life. Because I mean, people do feel stressed. It's okay to feel stressed, but
Without
when you get
doubt.
that rest of energy, like it can be overwhelming. And I mean, it can last a long time. Some people even have chronic stress.
Oh,
You
without
don't want to
doubt.
get to that point to where you're just focusing on one thing or focusing on so many things so often to where you don't feel like you're able to come out of it, because it is causing more harm than good. So when
Or
you have this type of thing, you have to make sure to do a couple things, right? You have to make sure you implement a couple of different changes in your life to where you can balance that stress and make sure you reduce it. I mean, obviously, the one of the biggest ones is making sure you get enough sleep, because 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that's the sweet spot. You need to make sure you get enough sleep, because if you come into the day and just already tired, that's going to set the precedent for the entire rest of the
Yeah.
day, because we're all about setting the precedent at the very beginning. And once you do that, it sets the tone for the rest of your day, where you can keep moving forward and keep being happy. We've talked about too before, exercising regularly. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, just a 30-minute walk, nothing wild. Um, Building your social support network. I also think
Mm.
that's very big. That's what we were talking about with building your circle with people you can have these real, authentic conversations with. Know who those people are so you can continue moving forward. And if something happens, you know who you can reach out to,
Yep.
because we're huge believers in everything happens for a reason. Even if you're in a situation that you feel like is dragging you down, is there someone in that work environment? Is there someone in that same environment as you that sees you going through this, that could possibly help, that is that lending hand to where you can continue moving forward? And like you said, set your priorities and set your boundaries, because if you have priorities of the things that you need to make sure you get done, make sure you get those things done. And if you don't, it's probably not the end of the world. You can wait until the next day. It's all about making sure you don't overfill your plate. It's like over portioning your food. You
Yep.
don't want to over portion your food, because then at the end of your dinner, at the end of your meal, you're going to be like, oh, all bloaty on the couch, not really wanting to do anything else. So it's just like your day-to-day life. If you don't fill yourself up, if you don't book yourself with so many different things, you are able to feel better. You don't feel that bloatiness that is, mental anguish, to where you can keep moving forward. And I mean, also, you got to feel compassion for yourself. This situation sucked. It's okay to not be the best at it.
Yep. Yep.
It's okay to be in a learning experience to where you can continue moving forward, to where you can make yourself into the better person, or better at that specific thing when it comes to work or family or anything like that. So those are the biggest things, guys, especially with managing your stress, so you can continue moving forward and continue being happy, because a lot of things will pop up throughout life. Like, I mean, coping with losses, that is very difficult. We've talked about death a lot on this podcast. So it's very important to just be happy that you had that person for when you did. Be happy that you made the memories that you did, because we don't know when our time is going to come. That's the biggest thing. So to instead of focusing so hard on that person is no longer here and I can't do anything else with those people, think about all the things you did get to do with those
That's
people.
right.
Think about all the happy moments. Think about, the walk to the store and the memories that you make with people. And I think that is one of the most important things. Just being patient with yourself, being patient with others, because we're all on our own journey, but also to remember to take care of yourself. I mean, that's just the biggest thing. You have to take care of yourself so that you can help take care of others in other times of struggle, or to remember how you take care of yourself. And if something else happens like that, you can go back to that resource and be like, okay, I can do this again because I got over that. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a couple of things that we are all on our own journey, and yet we are all on the same journey. We're all connected. It's all connected. And what you do may ripple into someone else's life that you don't even know. Or it might be somebody you do know. But because it happens, your emotions, your actions affect others in ways that you don't understand. And so
Yes.
if you're living your life right, it is going to affect other people's lives right. And
Hmm.
so while we're on these separate journeys, understand that these separate journeys are all connected, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And I want to touch on what you said about the self care and the self love, because guys, people pleasing isn't always other people. We can sometimes fall into the trap of people pleasing ourselves. that we're the person that we're trying to please by overloading, by doing stuff that we know we can't accomplish because we'll have a sense of feeling good if we do, or if knowing there's no way you can do 85 tasks today, but you're going to put it on there because you'll feel better if you do. You don't have to please yourself. You can be happy that you got 26 of them done instead of all 85, and that the rest aren't going anywhere. It's those things. So when we say avoid people pleasing, and that also means for yourself. It's okay to not get everything done. It's okay to skip that for today. It's okay. So don't put that pressure on yourself. Don't, because that does lead to stress, and it does lead to these expectations. And then when you have those expectations, things start to feel weighted down and you get heavy and you start falling into that trap of I've got to do. You don't have to do anything, but focus on being happy. That's all you got to do. And understand that sometimes life is going to happen, and it's going to, oops, a hurricane came today. I couldn't get shit done. Oops, I had a health issue today. I couldn't get that done. Or, it might be the opposite. Oh, man, something happened and it cleared my whole day. Now I can do something I didn't think I was going to get done. That too. So it isn't always a negative or a positive. It's just life. And I think the quicker that you understand that you are living in this world, you're living in this universe, and it's a very brief moment. Okay? Mm-hmm. And the quicker you understand that and just let shit go and go, wherever I'm supposed to be, that's where I'm going to go. And when I think that I'm not getting there, I will, because something is going to move me back. Hence the something that Logan might do may inadvertently move me closer to where I was supposed to be going when I was off track. I won't know why that happened and I shifted to make that move. I'll find out maybe 10 years from now, something he did, it caused something for me to do this or that, or vice versa, or a friend down the road, or a stranger down the road. You don't know when you could effectively be doing something that will affect somebody you don't even know, and then that person might come into your life years later with something that is extremely helpful to you because of something you did without even knowing that helped them at some point. That stranger is now in your life on that path because of something that you did, just living your life, just doing your thing. So, yeah, I think that's huge as far as just really focusing on mental health, really focusing on your happiness, really focusing on just going on the journey, enjoying every second of it, taking the moment to smell the flower, doing the whatever it is, because that one thing might be the key to something else for someone else, not just for you. And to know that that's an amazing feeling. It really is an amazing feeling. And sometimes just being a good person, just being a good person. I want to talk about it on this show too, because we talked about it on a past episode of IdCaf, but I want to talk about it. Sometimes the universe puts you in the right place at the right time to do the right thing. And if you guys missed this story, I'm talking about John Bon Jovi. He was on a bridge in Nashville filming a music video. Why did they choose that location? Why was it that day that they were filming it? Why was it at that moment? He may never know. But the universe knows. The universe knows that they put John Bon Jovi there on that day at that moment because someone needed to be seen by him. Someone needed to know he saw them. And he saved a woman's life by simply going over and saying, "Hey, I got you. I see you. What's going on? Let's talk about it." Didn't have to stop his music video. Didn't have to say, he could have said, "What's she doing here? Why are people, get her out of here. Where's the police? Call the police." No, this man simply went over and said, "What's going on? How can I help you? Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's wrong." And that is what I'm talking about, y'all. That is what I'm talking about just living your authentic life, being a good human being, and the universe is going to put you where you're supposed to be, and good things are going to happen. And the sooner that you just let it all go and do that, life is so much better. Life is so much better.
It really is, man. It really is. Well, we got a couple emails, man. We've
Yes!
been rocking and rolling with that recently, so we're super excited. We actually got two for you guys today, and we're super excited about it. This first one is from Michael T. He says, "Hey guys, your podcasting has been so helpful to my mental health journey, and I've learned a lot. One thing I've been thinking about is therapy, but I'm not sure if I need it. Are there any specific signs or feelings I should be looking for to know if I should talk to a therapist? Sometimes I feel like I'm just being dramatic, and other times I feel like I could use the help. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks." Michael, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for emailing us. It takes a lot of courage to do
It
that, to
absolutely
talk
does.
about these type of things. Um, Honestly, first off, I think everybody should be in therapy. I think everybody should talk to somebody, if it's in a therapeutic form. So, I mean, you have to, because I know insurance, right? That's another thing that we kind of touched on with our political anxiety. Who's in office? What are we going to get the benefits of, and things like that. But I mean, insurance is a big thing because you don't want to pay too much. But if you have someone, just someone that you can talk to everyone about, I think, or everything about, that will help you out in the long run. But it is very important too, because I think this is the benefit of a therapist. They're a complete outside person to
Yes.
your life.
Yeah.
They have no skin in the game. They know nothing about who said what when. She did this at my birthday party, blah, blah, blah. Like, so to have somebody who's completely on the outskirts of your life to give a perspective is very nice. It's very, and with therapy, you have to be very, you can't feel like you're being judged, because sometimes people walk out of therapist appointments or leave therapy altogether because they feel like they're being judged. Because a lot of these things, you have to do the inner work. So that's the important thing. First, everybody needs a therapist. If you can afford it, if it's covered, definitely be in therapy, because it helps to be, talking to somebody, especially to somebody who's not in the game. And then second, to not feel judged and be willing to do the work on your inner self. That's the biggest thing, because you're going to find that a lot of therapy isn't about what they could have fixed. It's about how you could have reacted. So
Exactly.
be sure to keep that in mind.
And the key why it's so important to have that outside person that doesn't have any skin in the game is because they will also call you on your bullshit.
They will.
Because listen, a lot of people go into therapy and without even realizing it, they lie. And that's
Yeah.
because they're lying to themselves. They have convinced themselves that a certain thing in life was a way that it was, or I did this because of, and it's a lie. But they have convinced themselves. Therapists are really good at figuring that out. Like, this is something you're telling yourself, but let's dig deeper because it's clearly not true. And, and if it's somebody that has skin in the game, that's not always possible. But with somebody outside, they're going to call you on it. They're going to be like, it sounds like this is what you think, but it's not actually what it is. Let's dig deeper. Let's go deeper. And like Logan said, that initiates the work, because a therapist can listen. A therapist can suggest, but you've got to do the work. Right. Like it's like going to the doctor and he gives you some medicine, but if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it doesn't work. You've got to do the work when you're in therapy. It's about having that safe space to talk without being judged, but it's also about initiating you going back in and going, okay, let me revisit that point. Where did I do something that was off? What caused me to do something that way or this way? And then work at it. Say, okay, this is something I need to move from. I need to pivot from, or something I need to readdress in my life or whatever. So I'm right there with you, Logan. I agree. I think that everybody should have access to therapy. I think it should be free. I think mental health should be free. This is something, and you guys know I'm not huge into social programs or like all this guy. I think that they're necessary to help people on a temporary basis, but I don't think that mental health is a temporary basis. I think this is something that you should have access to 24/7, 365, forever. And if you need help, to not be able to have that access because you can't afford it is just wrong. So, but know this also: you reached out, you sent us an email, you're listening, so you know you are not alone. You've already taken that first step. This is therapy for us. We get to come in and talk, and we talk about things that were going on, and we listen to you guys, and we see that feedback. So if this is your therapy for now, if you can't afford it, there isn't a way, we're here for you, man. Talk to us. Send us another email. Tell us what you're going through. Is there an issue you want to talk about? You feel like nobody's listening. Yeah, you said, is there something I should be looking for? If you feel alone, if you feel like no one is hearing you or seeing you, you probably should go see a therapist. That means that something is going on. Either you're putting those walls up, or for some reason you're isolated. You should probably see a therapist. Yeah. So anyway, man, great question. I mean, I love that, and thank you for being a listener. That's awesome. The next one we got is from Jessica L. She starts off by saying, "Hey guys, thank you so much for being so brave to talk so openly about mental health and your own struggles." Well, first of all, Jessica, thank you. It's not easy. We sometimes it's hard for us to open up. And it does take a lot of courage, just like it took a lot of courage for you to send an email. So we appreciate you for being so open and courageous. She goes on to say, your podcast has helped get me through some really bad days. One thing I've been struggling with, though, is self-care. See, this is how I'm talking about it's all connected. We were literally just talking about the importance of self-care and taking care of yourself. And here you go. She said she finds, she tries to do routines like journaling and taking walks. But I find it hard to stick with it consistently. After a week or so, I tend to fall off track, especially when life gets busy. Do you have any tips or suggestions on how I can stay committed to taking care of my mental health, even when I'm not feeling motivated? Well, first thing, Jessica, is there are going to be days where you don't feel motivated. It's the same as getting up trying to go to the gym when we're talking about physical health, right? Some days you just aren't feeling it, but you go anyway, right? It's okay to fall off. That's okay. See, this is that thing that we were talking about before, when you set such high expectations on yourself and you start trying to do things that you know aren't capable. If you have a ridiculously busy work schedule and you know you're not going to be able to get to that journal today, or you're not going to be able to meditate today, that's okay. And that's part of it. That's part of the self-care, is understanding that you're a human being. We're all just human beings trying to get through this thing called life. And it's okay. You're not going to be perfect every day. And no one is. And so that would be my first piece of advice and key, is to understand that there is no such thing as on track or falling off track. It's wherever you are that day, that's okay. As long as you're being true to yourself and you're trying to get through it and you're taking it with a positive stride, it's okay. So, I mean, that's my biggest, I think, thing of advice for you as far as setting, and you'd be surprised that the moment you start doing that, the moment you start realizing you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to do this every day or that every day, the routine becomes more simple. If you fall more into it because you're not trying to set something that you're incapable of doing. And so then the routine becomes capable of doing. So, yeah, that's my piece on it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, thank you so much for, acknowledging, because it is, I remember the first couple episodes that we recorded, like we were terrified,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
that first episode. We were like, okay, what are we going to talk about? I mean,
Yeah.
it was like pulling teeth, like yeah, it was a lot. It was really hard. Now, as far as like, you do have to set aside time. You'll find that more structured people are actually happier. Do
Yes.
they get burnt out? Yes, they do. You can have your days to where you don't do anything or do bare minimum, but you'll find that more structured people are happier. It's a take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hell, 5 minutes,
Yep.
to go outside and sit for a second and just, breathe in some fresh air, try not to think about anything and just go. It's one of those things where you have to dedicate time to it. It's one of those, like, it's a challenge though. We're sitting here talking like it's easy, but it's not.
It's
We know.
not.
We know it's not easy. But nothing in life is. So you have to continue to bob and weave with everything that you have going on and figure out where you can fit it in. If it's literally at the end of the day before you're going to bed, that's fine. We like doing things in the mornings because like we said, we think it sets the precedent. So it's just, if you need to wake up 5, 15, 10 minutes earlier in the day to, sit outside and breathe for a second, that's okay. I mean, studies have shown too that slow mornings are way better for your mental health
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So, waking up at enough time to where, you have 30 minutes to just wake up instead of wake up, get in the shower, get ready, boom, boom, boom. So it's important to focus to give yourself that time. I think that's what was most important. But thank you, Jessica, for reaching out because you're not always going to feel motivated, but it's important to put away the time for yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing because it's for you at the end of the day. Even if you don't feel like you have enough time, but it's for you. It's
And
for benefiting you.
And I like what you said, just to wrap up part of like what we said at the top of the show is like structure doesn't mean that it has to be the same every single day. Like
No.
like if you miss it one day, you can do double the time the next day. Say you're
Yeah.
supposed to, I want to do 10 minutes a day, but there's just a day where you can't get that 10 minutes in. Do 20 the next day when you have a little extra time. That is staying within your structure and doing what you need to do without feeling like you failed because you didn't get it done that one day, right? So just, yeah, step back, enjoy, take it easy like Logan said, and know that it's all okay. As long as you're putting in a little bit and trying to do your best, that's all that counts.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We really appreciate it. If you want to email us, be sure to email us at info@crazyantmedia.com. If you wanted to just, tell us what you're going through or ask for a piece of advice or anything like that, we're always open. You guys know where to follow us at JLoganAustin at CrazyAntCEO. We're down for direct messages as well.
Yeah.
Whatever is easiest for you, we're open. We're anywhere and everywhere on social media and on the internet. So be sure to reach out to us. But yeah, be sure to follow Everything's Okay on Instagram, X, and Threads. Everything's Okay, Pete. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and watch the videos on YouTube. We appreciate all of that. And guys, just continuing moving forward, make time for yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Make time for yourself because then at the end of the day, you can keep going through situations. And even if they're tough, even if you feel like you can't get over it, if you take time for yourself to remember that you are strong enough to do anything. You don't, sometimes you don't give yourself enough faith. You don't give yourself enough persistence. You don't give yourself, enough courage to get through things. But you have a lot of courage that's deep down inside you that you don't even realize that you have. And it's important to remember that everything's okay.